in the last Parliament, the 43rd Parliament, the Special Committee on Canada-China Relations played a constructive role in furthering Canada's policy toward the People's Republic of China. The committee met 30 times and issued 3 reports to this House. We heard from dozens, if not hundreds, of witnesses. We focused on espionage and foreign interference and intimidation operations here on Canadian soil. We focused on Hong Kong, and we focused on the genocide of the Uyghurs. The committee also focused on the plight of the 2 Canadians who were wrongfully detained, Michael Kovrig and Michael Spavor. And arguably, it was that focus on those 2 Michaels, as they became popularly known in this country, it was the focus on them that put pressure on the People's Republic of China and on others involved with this issue to see their release last year. And so the committee played a constructive role in furthering Canada's policies in the Indo-Pacific region, particularly on China. But so much more needs to be done, Madam Speaker. Much more study and analysis needs to be done because the relationship between Canada and China is broad and multifaceted and touches on so many areas of Canadian life: diplomatic, economic, military, security, academia, and so many other areas of our lives. China is one of the world's superpowers, and we need to be mindful of the impact that the People's Republic of China has on the day-to-day lives of Canadians. And I can think of no better place to do that than in a special committee in Parliament, where we can call experts, where we can listen to testimony, and where we can explore the multifaceted relationship that we do have with the People's Republic of China. But up to this point, Madam Speaker, it's not been possible to establish this special committee. In the last Parliament, the 43rd Parliament, 2 additional committees were added to the House of Commons. Those 2 committees being the Special Committee on Canada-China Relations and the Special Committee on Canada-US Relations. And because of the pandemic and because of hybrid sittings, House administration resources were taxed to their limit with the addition of those 2 committees. And so too it has been the case in the 44th Parliament up to this point. We've had 2 additional committees added to this 44th Parliament. We have the new Standing Committee on Science, and we've had the Special Committee on Afghanistan. And with the addition of these 2 committees in this 44th Parliament, it has taxed the House's resources to the limit. And I think all members of the House realize that and understand that, because there isn't a week that goes by where we have trouble booking additional meetings for committees or additional time for committees because of the constraints with staff and with the information technology. But, Madam Speaker, on June 8th that changes, because the order of this House that established the Special Committee on Afghanistan orders that that committee on Afghanistan be wound up, that it report back to the House, and so we will have only 1 additional committee that's been added to this House in this 44th Parliament, and that being the Permanent Standing Committee on Science. And so we have an opportunity to resurrect the Canada-China Committee, which we believe is a very important thing to do. There are so many more things we have yet to study, Madam Speaker. We didn't complete our study of national security issues concerning the relationship between Canada and the People's Republic of China. We had not even begun to tackle the issue of the People's Republic of China's Belt and Road Initiative. And since the last election, new information has come to light that needs urgent study and analysis. And that is the foreign interference and disinformation on part of the People's Republic of China that we saw in the last election. Professor Fung, who is a McGill University professor and who is a Canada Research Chair, and Ms. Lee, a researcher at McGill University, both published a piece in Policy Options recently, a piece in which they concluded, which they found, that proxies acting on behalf of the leadership in Beijing spread disinformation in the last election campaign that led to and contributed to the defeat of a number of colleagues in this House. And that is an urgent issue that requires study, that requires analysis, an issue that we cannot let slip from the radar screen of public consciousness. Democratic institutions, both here and abroad, are under immense pressure and under threat, both from internal and external forces. And we need to ensure the integrity of these institutions, whether it's our electoral process or whether it is Parliament in between elections. And so the research that these two McGill University researchers conducted after the election, which found that there was disinformation spread on social media platforms by proxies acting on behalf of Beijing, is something that is critical and requires urgent attention. And I believe the Canada-China Committee would be a very good place for that to be studied and analyzed. Madam Speaker, we also have a need, because China is a superpower and because it is so integrated into the global economy, we also have a need to study how we can engage with China, how we can engage with China on issues such as supply chains, how we can engage with China on issues such as natural resources, how we should be approaching them on the issue of rare earths and critical minerals, and how we should be dealing with China on issues like climate change. And so all of these things, Madam Speaker, are things that need to be studied, things that need to be focused on. And a new committee, a special committee on Canada-China relations, would be the perfect place to do exactly that. And Madam Speaker, I think the committee could play a constructive role in assisting the government. Clearly, the government has struggled with establishing a policy on China. The third Minister of Foreign Affairs promised to come forward with a new framework on China by the end of 2020. That never happened. The fourth Minister of Foreign Affairs came forward with an approach that was summed up by the 3 C's of cooperate, compete, and challenge. But that same fourth minister, shortly after the last 2021 election, changed that policy to the 4 C's and added the 4th C of coexist to the policy. This current new Minister of Foreign Affairs, the 5th Minister of Foreign Affairs in just over 6 years, has now been tasked with coming forward with a new Indo-Pacific strategy, which we have yet to see. And so clearly the government is struggling to come forward with a policy, a written, clearly defined policy on China and the Indo-Pacific region. And that's where I think the committee could be of great assistance to the government. Madam Speaker, let me conclude by saying this. The most important reason for the establishment of this special committee on Canada-China relations is February 24th. It was a day that shocked the democratic world. For the first time since 1945, 2 states in Europe were at war. Russia attacked a democracy, upending the international order that has ensured peace and stability for some 8 decades. We have to be mindful of what is happening in Eastern Europe today could also happen in the Indo-Pacific region. And that is why we need to focus on all aspects of the Canada-China relationship to ensure that we are prepared for any eventualities that may take place. Thank you, Madam Speaker.